Hey guys, this is Thomas from NurseMoneyTalk. So in this video, what I actually want to do is answer this question of whether or not you can actually negotiate your salary, your hourly wage as a new grad nurse. If you're a new nurse, you interview and then you get kind of like the offer that it can be a little bit underwhelming once you actually see, what your wage is going to be, and especially like if you've never paid attention to what the starting pay is for a new nurse, your reference point might be just looking at experienced nurses, and so you'll see a significant pay gap, and so then you'll be wondering, well, can I just ask for more money or not? And I feel like from my experiences, nurses historically don't like negotiating their salary. So let's talk about that in this video. But before I get started with that, let me go ahead and invite you to hit that thumbs up and that thumbs up button if you find this video helpful. And then also don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos. And then if you are listening to this on podcast, please don't forget to hopefully give us a positive rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever podcasting platform you're using. So let's go ahead and get started. Right out of the gate, I'm just gonna give you the quick and easy answer, which is, as a new grad nurse, you can try to negotiate for your salary. And I put emphasis on that try, because you probably won't be successful. Now, even though you won't be successful, I actually think that you should try to negotiate your salary anyway. I believe, like, as a new nurse, that you should start trying to get in the habit of kind of building up that muscle of asking for, honestly asking for more money, but asking and doing it in the right way. Because the thing is like, when I graduated from nursing school, I actually had 2 jobs. Long story, covered it in some other videos. But anyway, I had 2 jobs that I was gonna start working in, and for one of them, which was an entry position in an ICU, they gave me an offer sheet, and then I went back and I talked to hiring manager, and I actually, was trying to renegotiate my pay, which was kind of interesting because at that point, my impression was that it seemed like the manager was a little surprised. And I don't know if it was because they were new at that point, or if it was just that nobody had ever like asked them, and tried to renegotiate their pay. But, they were like, okay, I'll call you back. They later on called me back. And long story short, I didn't get it. So I tell you this story for a couple reasons. One, it is to tell you, I try to practice what I preach, if you will. And then the other thing is that I learned a couple reasons why I don't think I really had much of a shot at renegotiating it. And the first one was because of lack of experience. So at that point, I was a new graduate nurse. And so, I'd actually taken and gotten my LPN partways through RN school and whatnot. And if you're wondering how I was able to do that, I covered that more in a video that you can see up here. But and so I had worked, I think, maybe about a year or so as an LPN, right? But even still, the main thing to take note of is that I was still relatively a new grad nurse. I really didn't have much of an experience. As far as LPN experience is concerned, a lot of the hospitals, that, from what I understand, I think for 2 years of LPN experience, they'll count that as one RN year of experience if they're looking at like pay or whatever. So the LPN thing didn't really count for it. Not to mention, at that point, I was working as the LPN in the mental health. So it was like even completely different specialty. So, you can kind of see that experience wasn't really going for me. And because of this lack of experience, they would have had to spend a lot of money training me which I think is a big part of it. But the other part of it, which is my next point, which is that because of the lack of experience that I had very few options as well. In the article that I wrote about this point, which if it's up by the time you're watching this, I'll put it in the descriptions. But one of the things that I highlighted on there is that if you're looking at experience, your ability to negotiate your salary is pretty much only as good as your ability to walk away and get another offer. And I didn't have a better offer, at least in terms of the ICU was concerned. I didn't have a better offer, and it was a subspecialty, and so I'm sure they would have been having other new grad nurses that would have wanted to come in, and so that wasn't really working for me. And so those two or three key points, I think, are the reasons why you're going to have a hard time trying to get a raise as a new nurse. But at the same time, you should still try anyway, because like I said, it builds up that muscle, and it starts getting you into that pattern of always trying to negotiate for better pay. And so here are just a couple of quick points that I think will help you when you're trying to negotiate your salary as a new nurse. And so I'll have a more in-depth video on this later, but I'll run through this real quick. Number one is make sure you research what the market rate is for your position. So if you're looking for a new grad registered nurse position for the ICU in Austin, Texas, for example, then you want to look at what are new grad registered nurses in Austin, Texas that are going to the ICU. What are they getting? What is kind of like that range, if you will, because that will give you an idea if your facility is like lowballing you, if they're on the high side, the mid range. It'll kind of give you a better idea of what you should do in terms of how much you are even going to ask if you're going to negotiate your pay. Because for instance, if your facility is already on the high side or is already past that, whatever that range is, then possibly still asking for more money might still consider doing that. But then that you might not consider doing that if you're really looking at, okay, I'm already at the very top of the range. This probably isn't going to really work out for me that well. Maybe I should leave it alone, or something like that. Even though knowing me, I probably would still try to, negotiate something. Kind of like another point I need to mention about like the different of why you want to look at the same city for the same specialty is that different cities, because of cost of living or whatever, it's going to be potentially very different from your city. And of course, different specialties pay differently. So that's why you really want to make sure that you're keyed in on those two things. As for where you can go to really look at those, to really try to find that information, if you go check out like a job board, like our job board, nursemoneytalk.com/jobs, you can go check out for positions there. And not all job postings will have like a salary range. Some do, some don't, but either way, it can probably kind of give you an idea, potentially if you find one. So nursemoneytalk.com/jobs. Next one is possibly checking out sites like maybe salary.com or payscale.com. And so you want to check out at different spots just to try to get an idea of potentially what might be a good range for the specialty in the area that you're going for. The next thing that I would recommend is to apply to more than one position. Like if you're a new grad nurse, you're about to graduate, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think you should apply in multiple different spots, either that, like maybe ICU, ER, mental health, med surg or whatever, or if you only want the ICU or ER or whatever, you apply to multiple ICUs or multiple ERs. And the reason for that is that I think it potentially gives you more options. It gives you more job offers on the table. It makes you less of a of a desperate job applicant, because as you're dealing with one facility, in the back of your mind, you will know you have other options. So like, for example, if they lowball you, which could happen, and one other facility is paying you more money, it might be worth it to you to go to that other facility. Because I think one of my classmates, if I remember correctly, I think was making over $3 more per hour than what I was making whenever I first started out. And so always look at your options. Always try to create options for yourself. The third point is to make sure that you are prepared to sell yourself. Sell yourself in the sense of like, your employer is not going to be looking to offer you more money just because. So you're gonna have to go out there and show them why you deserve X, Y, and Z. That, why you should get X, Y, and Z. Whether that's through your market research, whether that's through like, if you manage to have some experience or whatnot, maybe you were before you were an EMT or paramedic or something like that, and you can kind of leverage a little bit of that experience to try to maybe inch up a little bit more in that starting pay. For example, if you were, going to go work in the ER, or just, whatever the case may be, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're essentially marketing yourself, your brand, your skill sets, your whatever, to try to leverage that to make more money. It's kind of one of those things, like in this particular situation, it just so happens that you at this point in your career don't have a whole lot of leverage to work with. The last point, and this is number 4, especially if you've been doing, if you've done 1, you've done 2, you've done 3, and this of course requires you to create a lot of, to create more options for yourself, is then don't be afraid to walk away if you have other options available. I guess don't fall so in love with a current job, a current position, or a current company or whatever to your own detriment, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that is all I've got for this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching this video, or listening if you are on the podcast, and I'll catch you very soon in that next one.